welcome to Trojan Talk. My name is Brian Fuller, Associate Athletic Director of McDowell High School. As always, we're joined by head coach Mark Soboleski of our football team. Kind of going with a different segment today. It's just going to be Mark and I sitting and chatting for a while with no players and no other sports. So, Coach, let's get right at it. I guess looking at last week's Shaler's game, obviously a very difficult loss, 43-42 in double overtime. I guess the first thing, what did you tell the guys after the game?
Well, you know, it took a little while to talk to the guys. They were pretty upset. You know, we kind of just sat around for a couple minutes and looked around at each other and, you know, kind of just tried to take all that in. And, you know, the biggest thing in that situation is you don't want to browbeat them. You don't want to, you know, tell them everything that was wrong. And you know, they're kids and, you know, these things happen and games like that happen. So, you know, we talked about a couple things I didn't like about our behavior coming off the field, and it was over. You got to deal with it and get back in the locker room. We talked about that a little bit, and you know, we just talked about, you know, opportunities there. You know, as a team, as a group of kids, as coaches, we've got to take advantage of those opportunities, and that opportunity was there to win that game several times throughout the game. You know, there was things that occurred that we could have taken advantage of. So we just pointed those things out and reminded them that, hey, you know, that game's done. We didn't even show them the game. We didn't watch it. We didn't talk about, you know, any of it. And we're going to move on to North Hills and try to get ready for that game next Friday.
Going back and look at the game, you said there were a lot of missed opportunities. You know, like we always do, let's talk about your offense, your defense, your specials. You know, maybe give them a rating or give them a score, an evaluation of the game overall. And you know, obviously it came down to the last play, as most games do sometimes. But just go back and overall look at your offense and defense and give them a grade or an evaluation.
Well, I thought, you know, offensively, I thought, you know, we moved the football what we expected. I think we had 300 and some odd yards of total of rushing, and I think 400 yards of offense, and scored 28 points of regulation. So I was pleased with the reduced amount of penalties on offense. That's something we focused on, is not jumping off sides and really concentrating on the count. And that's kind of been, you know, one of the things that we've had to work on. And I thought we did better. I think we only had one, which is from what we've been is a much improvement. I thought we, you know, did a decent job of getting off the ball. We lost Andrew Bennett early in the game and didn't have him. And Paul Kemper came in at right tackle and did a fabulous job. We were running our midline package. You know, I bet you we ran the play 30 times, and you know, I think Colin Kimball had 140 yards of rushing. And you know, really, we were running one or two plays is all we were really running against them, because it was just there. And I thought the kids did a nice job of doing that. You know, something that disappoints me is, you know, talking about, you know, opportunities. There was a spot, you know, I think it was third quarter-ish in there where we had the ball. We were up by 7. We moved it from like the 20 all the way to the cross midfield into their territory. We're moving the ball pretty steadily and fumbled the football for the opportunity to go up 14-0. And that seems to be where we kind of get stuck this year. Is, you know, we get that lead and we need to go down and make it bigger and take control of the game, and we're not doing that. We're not finishing off drives. We're turning the ball over so. But overall, though, you know, we scored 28 points in regulation. That should be enough to win a football game. Defensively, you know, I think we need to take a look at where we're at defensively. I think we're asking, you know, the coaches met and talked a little bit. I think we're maybe asking too much of some guys, trying to be so multiple to defend the teams, where I think we need to just line up and let the kids play football. And I think that's what you'll see from us here as we move on. You know, attack the quarterback a little bit more. Let the kids just react instead of thinking. What's occurring right now is we're just not getting lined up. We're not getting lined up correctly. It happened in overtime. It happened several times in the game. We had guys flopping sides, and I think we need to get away from that and just line up and play ball.
It seems like this year the teams we played have passing quarterbacks. You know, it seems like we've had 2 or 3 games where the quarterbacks have been very good. They throw great balls and are able to be successful in the passing game, where most of the times in high school at this level you don't see too many quarterbacks that can just drop back and let it fly. And is that giving you guys fits a little bit? Is that something you're looking to change? And you talked about pressuring the quarterback a little bit. Is that one of the things that you're looking to do?
Well, yeah, I think the problem right now is in the past we've had somebody in the quarterback's face immediately, one way or another. We've put a lot of pressure on teams, and some of these teams run the ball so well that we're committing to stopping the run. And teams are not running on us. You know, North Allegheny had a good second half against us, but for, you know, 2.5 quarters, I thought we defended the run with them pretty well. You know, it's always been our signature is to stop the run, because if you get run on, you're not going to win anyway. So, you know, we commit to the run, and we expect a lot from our secondary. But usually, you know, I think we're getting away from some of the pressure stuff that we've done. And you pressure a high school quarterback, and they have a real hard time completing passes. They're too green and young. And so I think we need to focus on getting some bodies in the quarterback's faces. And I think we're going to be okay. We're going to make some improvements here. We're going to make some corrections, and we'll get back to doing what we do.
And again, you talked about missed opportunities. We did miss an extra point, missed a field goal at regulation. That for Ryan Mong, that's not a chip shot, but it's one that probably 8 out of 10 times he's going to make. And then he came around in the overtime and missed an extra point to keep it tied. What do you tell a senior kicker like that? He's been in that situation before. We talked a little bit before we went on air that those are ones that he doesn't normally miss. Is that something now that you got to worry about his psyche a little bit and for the next 3 games, or is it something you think he's going to be able to move on and just be okay?
I think he'll be fine. I was proud of our kids for, it's going to be real easy to start pointing fingers when you lose a ball game like that, and everybody's got their eyes on McDowell and is, what's McDowell doing this week? And, it's real easy for people to point the fingers and start saying, well, it was this guy, or, and our kids didn't do that. They got in the locker room. There was a lot of kids patting him on the head, and that's tough for a high school kid to be put in that situation, and but that's part of life. You get back up and you brush off a little bit. You get back in the batter's box, and I think he'll be just fine. We're not going to dwell on any of that, but really there was opportunity throughout that game to not let us get to that point, and that's what we got to focus on. We got to correct the mistakes and just keep it moving forward.
Yeah, that's part of the role of being a kicker. You look at the NFL this past weekend. I think it was the Redskins game. That guy missed 1 or 2 field goals late in the game, then had a chance to win it in overtime, and he eventually did. So it's kickers, pitchers, people in those kind of positions, they got to have short memories and move on now. All right, we'll drop that game. Well, before we drop that game, let's talk about the call at the end here. I know everyone's been talking about it in the area that they've seen it on TV or even at the game. What was going through your thought when, number one, you saw the guy wide open? We talked a little bit off air there before we started that the guy was wide open, and then you see 1 or 2 officials waving it off, and then they get together and they change the call. As a coach and as a team there, you're going from one end of the emotional spectrum to the other in a matter of seconds. Just maybe walk us through that play a little bit and let us know what you were thinking.
Well, I thought it was a great play call by them. If we would have been second in that second overtime, I'd have went for 2. I already had said it on the headsets. I said if we get the chance to go for 2 here, we're going to end this thing because I can't take. It was a great football game. It was a great game. Both teams fought to the end. But we were going to do the same thing that he did, and our corner got caught peeking inside. They ran that same power eye formation, and the kid just shot right out into the flat, and it looks like a catch to me, and I don't really care either way with that. The only question I had to that official and to the 2 officials that were there is neither one of them really had made a definitive call. The one guy, came flying up in, signaling incomplete, and that's what I saw. So that's when our team left the sidelines. We all had gone onto the field. I took my headsets off, and he was very animate about it. So I figured it was done. And the only question I had to them when we were speaking with them at the end was, can someone please tell me why that guy was waving his arm so animately? Can someone tell me what he saw and why was that turned over? What did he see compared to what the person that changed that call? No one could give us an answer, and that's why there was so much confusion. There was a lot of people over there in that corner, right on that call, and a lot of people from Shaler were screaming at those officials. Very, very close. So does that influence them? I don't know, but I just wanted an answer, and that's always the way we handle officials. You can complain to them till you're blue in the face. It ain't going to change anything. Please give me an answer. And when they give you an answer, and as coach, I saw his foot in, it was a catch, then I got to turn away and walk away. But when they don't give you an answer, I'm going to keep pressing to see if I can find out what's going on. And they could not give me that. And I'm sure if I talked to them at this point, maybe they would say, well, coach, this guy did see it from over here or whatnot. But the 2 guys that were right there, if you watched it on film, really didn't have any idea what was going on. So.
Okay, let's move on from Shaler now. We're 4-2 going in for the last 3 games, 2 of them at home. We have kind of a big matchup coming up this week with North Hills, as they're being 6-0 now, and just preview them like we always have. What are they going to throw at us offensively, defensively, and what are your expectations this week?
North Hills, if you watch them on film, their trademark is they're going to be physical and they're going to come after you, and they're going to play as hard as possible. Coach McCurry he's a legend in Pittsburgh. He's been coaching forever, and his teams have always been physical football teams. Offensively, they're wing tee, shotgun with a lot of misdirection. Their quarterback is very dynamic. They put their best athlete there, and they slash him, off a lot about jet fakes and reverse kind of fakes and double handoff stuff. And he's their guy, and throws the ball well. But he is a deadly runner. I think we match up front with them well. I think it's a decent matchup for us. Defensively, they're a 4-4 team, but they're going to bring pressure. They're going to come after you. They're going to try to disrupt what you're doing into the backfield with a lot of blitzing and a lot of movement by their linebackers. So, it should be a great matchup. It's going to be down there, and North Hills, if you've ever been there, is a very hostile playing environment. It's in the heart of Whitfield football, so we're very excited about it, and we're going to practice today and see how we do.
You're speaking of practice a little bit, and the way some guys are starting to go down, Do you change your thoughts in developing your number twos a little bit now that someone we're going to, you said, Bennett could possibly be out, some other guys could possibly be out, and the younger guys are stepping up. Are you going to give them more reps now in practice, try to get them ready?
We've always given our twos as many reps as possible. Anytime we do our team option stuff, we always run 2 huddles just so those second kids can be comfortable. It's not a shock to them if they get thrown out there. Same thing defensively. We run 3 groups defensively in our team periods, and guys are just going to have to step up and play. We talk about opportunity. When you're a 2, you're could be called on any moment to come up and start playing. So some guys are going to get a chance.
Okay, the rest of the season, we have North Hills coming up this week, then we have Butler and Altoona at home to finish out the year. What do we need to do to make the playoffs? Top 4 teams in each conference. There's 4 Quad A conferences in the WPIAL. The top 4 teams out of each one make it into the 16-team bracket, and then they seed, and you just play out, step ladder bracket that way. But what do we need to do now to qualify and to get into the postseason?
We're sitting in 4th. We're actually, right with Shaler, but they've got the game in hand on us. The team behind us is Pine Richland. We've got the game in hand on them. We win another game in the conference, we should be okay. If we win them both, we'll definitely be in. But 3-3 should get us in. If we finish, with 4-2, we'll definitely be in. So we just got, practice and be ready to play these next 2 weeks, and things should work out hopefully.
Sounds good. Hey, I appreciate you coming on today, and of course, best of luck this week in practice. We'll certainly be down there Friday, rooting you guys on at North Hills. Some upcoming events this week. We do have some other athletic events going on. Tuesday, we have girls soccer against Mercier's Prep and Central. Our JVs will be playing Mercier's Prep. Our varsity will be playing Central. Volleyball will also be home that night. Cross country, boys and girls will run against Strong Vincent at Browns Farm, 4 o'clock. On Wednesday, we have a change in our girls soccer schedule. Originally, this game was Thursday. It is now Wednesday against East, and that will be at Vet Stadium at 4:30. So that's a new start time and a new date for girls soccer versus East. We also have our tennis makeup against General McLean. That will be at McLean at 4 o'clock. Thursday, we have freshman football going to St. Ignatius. Volleyball will be home again that night. Friday, of course, varsity football is going down to North Hills for a great football game there. Saturday, we have JV football at home against North Hills at noon. And then girls soccer, this is also another change. We have them playing the JVs at 3 o'clock, followed by the varsity at 4:30. So those are just some changes in some of the games this week. We have some other events as well. As always, any questions, please call the athletic office at 835-5428. We're more than happy to help them for you, or answer those questions for you. And we hope to see you out at our fields. And as always, go Trojans.